Hi, what's up? I'm Andre from the YouTube channel Blattner Comedy, Eddie, the Blue Ranger on Power Rangers Hyperforce, and you're watching Power Rangers Action Activate. Here we come! There they go. Evil rise! 'Cause they know we're super soldiers! We got cool clothes. You're real smooth. You see our pose. Tension. Energize. Let's go. Time to ride. Combine. Grease ties.
Hey, what's up? It's me, Gazbot, here for Action Activate. And if I'm Gazbot and this is Action Activate, then with me, as always, is...
It is I. It is,
And we're here to talk about... Oh, sorry.
we're here to talk about me being the big dog and Power Rangers Ninja Turtles comic crossover, right there.
Yes.
Written by Ryan Parrott, drawn by Dan Mora.
It's not drawn by Dan Mora.
Cover by Dan Mora.
Simone DeMeo, which I'm probably mispronouncing, I believe is the interior artist. And then with assistance by Alessio Zano. I apologize for the butchering of these names.
But yeah, we read it weeks ago. We're reviewing it now.
Mm-hmm.
Initial thoughts.
Well, I will say this. You read it before me, and
Yes.
you kind of refresh it. And I read it for the first time recently.
Yep.
I've been dying to talk to you about it.
Yes.
That is my initial thought, that I have a lot to say about it.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of how to lead, because I have two big things to say. I have a lot of things to say.
Initial reaction to the comic, not about what we're going to discuss. Good, bad, in between.
In between.
Wow.
In between.
Okay.
In between.
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
I didn't hate it.
The difference too between us is I read this and I'm like, this is cool. I'm glad we got this. I'm accepting it as a treat and it's great.
I agree with what you just said.
But with you, part of it, I think, that skews it, obviously, is that for you, you heard that they announced the second one,
Mm-hmm.
which is part of the reason we're reviewing it.
Yes. And is it the same writer? Is it still Ryan Parrott?
Yes.
Okay. Well, here's my first comment. Dan Mora is an artist who I know. He did Power Rangers, right?
Yes.
And he's done some other stuff like the
Claws.
Claws. And I've liked his art. I like his art.
Yes.
He did this cover art, which I think is very good.
Yes.
He is the cover artist only. I'm not a big fan of that in comics in general.
Yeah.
There's a few exceptions, like for Sandman when they had weird collages and things like that. But if you're a comic artist and you have a different comic artist doing the covers for your book, I know I wouldn't like it. And I don't like it as an artist, and I don't like it as a consumer. I'm not talking about one-off variants. You get Art Adams to do a cover for Godzilla, look fine. But I always feel the interior artist should get the covers. So I don't like that. And part of that, one of the many reasons is Dan Mora. No, I'm just going to be blatant. And this is coming from someone who understands it's hard to be an artist. Everybody working on this book is more successful and talented than I am. So proof that so take everything I'm going to say with a grain of salt. But in my opinion, Dan Mora is a far superior artist to the interior artist, at least in terms of this subject matter.
Yes.
And definitely in terms of my subjective opinion.
Yes.
So every cover I'd go, wow. And then I'd open it up and oh, right. It's not the same inside. And so that was a huge strike against it.
Okay.
Knowing that Dan Mora is doing the interiors of the second one, I'm super excited.
Yes.
Because even if the story isn't that great,
It'll look amazing.
Yes. Yeah. And I've said before, story is important. It's very important. But I can read a bad story with good art easier than I could read a good story with bad art.
Yes.
And I'm not saying this is bad art. It's not great art.
I am less critical of the art being who I am.
Mm-hmm. But do you see what I'm saying about the covers?
Yeah. Let me flip through really quick to see. No. To see the difference.
It's there are obvious ways and less obvious ways, but
yeah. I see where you're coming from. Same with you. I'm excited for the second one because Dan Mora's in the whole thing.
Right.
I didn't have the same kind of takeaway as you, I think, because outside of, I want to say the first issue, we're kind of jumping into it, by the way.
Yeah.
The first issue I didn't think was bad, but by the middle / end of it, I was more invested in the story and less distracted by that difference in art. I think that you were.
Fair. I like the story.
Yes.
I think it's good. I probably would have liked it a lot better with a different artist.
Yeah.
And this again comes back to, I'm not even saying they were a terrible artist, but just not my artist. You know?
Yeah.
Even without the cover issue, even if they were doing the covers, which I think they should have,
Yeah.
and I think would have helped. They have some deficiencies, and again, I have deficiencies, and I probably have more than they do. But I'm trying to just, I'm not trying to do this as a fellow artist, but as like someone just reading the book. And go ahead.
I think I know what it is. The Ranger stuff, I think you accepted.
Yes.
The thing that threw you was the turtle stuff.
Okay, I'm going to say something that is borderline mean and controversial. And I'm sorry if somehow the artist sees this. I'm sorry. As someone who's read Turtles since I was a kid, watched several versions of the cartoon, and even in the Eastman and Large stuff, they had different versions that they looked, and some I like better than others, and some seem more turtles than others.
Yeah.
Barring the Michael Bay turtles, these are the worst turtles I've ever seen. The design choices are weird. They make weird, ugly faces. They look off model. They look off model of any Ninja Turtle I've ever seen. And even book to book and panel to panel, they just, and Dan Morris turtles here, these are drawn differently than any version of the turtles I've seen as well.
Yes.
But I can accept them. They're fine. I like them. So it's not like they have to be a certain version of the turtles for me to like them.
Yeah.
But like, there's a lot of panels like this one. What's going on with his mouth there? Why is the mask like that? It's just weird. It's like they're trying to make them look like actual anatomical turtles with beaks or something, but they didn't even kind of do that. But then at other times, they look almost like simplified anime, and this I prefer, but it's like kind of inconsistent with some of the more realistic stuff. And I feel like the writing of the turtles was perfect.
Yes.
I thought the writing of the turtles was perfect. I thought the art on the Rangers and stuff, the turtles is, and the pupils would come and go, which they've done before in other media, but it just didn't work as well in this one. And just, I mean, look, it's just weird. It's just weird art. Like that just looks weird.
I prefer my turtles with no pupils.
I do too, but
I like just for comics in general, outside of just the turtles, like Batman's another prime example.
Mhm.
I like the all white. I think it looks cool. I understand for like live action, they can't always do it for, comics.
The live action movies, they had pupils. Some of the cartoons, they have pupils. I prefer no pupils, but I'm fine with pupils. Like I said, so it's not just like a preference. Like here's another one that's Michelangelo, and what is the emotion he's giving?
I thought that was Raph.
If you're good, why y'all working for Shredder? Well, no, it looks orange to me, but whoever it is, again, it's that weird.
Mike, because he's spinning his
chucks. Yeah, but again, it's that weird, and like the eyes now, the pupils are gigantic, but a minute ago they weren't, and that's a stylistic choice and fine. But like that weird, like putting a beak on, like everything. Like it's like an ugly. It's weird. I feel like the person who drew this understood Power Rangers and didn't understand Turtles. And some of the jokes and things that the Turtles do don't land weird because then they say some joke that is in character that makes sense, and they're like, So
I think we both came into this as Ranger fans, and I like Turtles. You love Turtles.
I'm gonna say I'm a Turtle fan. Yeah.
No. That's what I'm getting at. So I think with this, your critiques are more from the turtle side, and kind of like with the art thing, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I like art, you love art, you live art. Because of that, that's where the critiques come from.
Sure.
Not that one of us is more warranted than the other, but in terms of just that filter of enjoyment.
And pulling it back a layer, what you said originally, I love that this exists.
Yes.
I love this crossover. It's so fun. Even if it's garbage, I love that it happened and it's fun. And honestly, the fact that we get these pieces of art on the cover and the back cover alone, like those are great. I love that those exist. And the story is fine, good, but I can't be super objective about how good the story is because of my problem with the Turtles. And also I think the artist doesn't handle hand-to-hand combat action very well.
Okay.
It's not the worst I've ever seen or anything. Again, and nothing about this is like this person shouldn't be working. They're terrible. It's just like there's a lot of sequences where I can't even think what's happening now, but like Leonardo is fighting Jason or whatever, and you kind of see them both jump in the air, and then one of them lands, and you see their foot, and then it's like I want to see them fight.
Yeah, sword on sword.
And I feel like a lot of that happens, and there was like moments of like mild confusion with like some of the pages like this layout. Like it reminds me of very Image in the 90s. Like if I stare at it long enough, I can figure out what's going on, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, what just happened? And like I'm a big believer in clarity of storytelling and character. And some of those things were lost because of the decisions made by what to put in what panel. And that's art, not writing.
Taking a step back from the art and going into the plot and the story. In the beginning, kind of the reason the two of these teams kind of come together is Tommy is in the Foot Clan,
Yes.
and we don't know why.
But and they set up that they both exist in this world. There's no
Yes.
rift or anything. It's just the turtles secretly live in there, and the Power Rangers out in the public live.
Yes.
And I think that's a good.
And to my understanding, all of this is canon with the Boom comics. Like, even the ones that are out now, like the turtles exist in them, even though we don't see them all the time.
Which is not without precedent within space in the show.
Yeah, and that again, I like to give that context because part of the reason there's a sequel is sometimes you see these, and like another example with the turtles is, I don't know if you've read Batman Ninja Turtles.
I haven't, believe it or not.
There's 3 for the main one, and then there's animated Batman, animated Turtles.
That's cool.
Which is both of those animated universes, a different thing. I don't know. I did read that. It was good. All of them are good. But like with that one, without giving too much of the story away, they're like, you're from an alternate world and you came here. And then they do that 3 times.
Right.
And you're like, okay, so you know each other exists, but like this is an isolated thing. Keep it as it is.
Yeah.
This being established, I think is good because not knowing anything about the future story, I think it has a lot more to build on. And maybe in the next one, there isn't a Green Ranger. I don't know.
And it does end. I mean, we're jumping ahead. But it does end. It could be the ending. They never had to do part 2.
Yes.
But it ends with Shredder and Rita having both kind of been defeated, going off into Dimension X to do something there.
Yes.
And so, okay, well, what happens when they come back? And that's obviously what's going to be the second story. But they could have just let it be like, well, Shredder comes back and the Ninja Turtles like, I talked to Krang, and Rita does, they didn't have to actually, and there was no White Ranger in this, so everyone's thinking of the White Ranger.
So story-wise, I didn't love the Tommy subplot. I like how it led to Shredder getting the Green Ranger coin. I don't like how he just gave it to him.
Yeah.
That was kind of like, that was the only thing I had.
He didn't give it to him, he just lost it super easy.
That was the thing I had a problem with.
Yes.
Whereas everything else made sense. And that one, I'm like, I don't really see show Tommy doing this, and I don't see comic Tommy doing this.
Right.
Or it's like, so he infiltrated the Foot Clan because he had a friend from when he was a kid who joined the Foot Clan, and he joined to try to get him out, but then got so deep he ended up with
the friend
Shredder.
he was trying to save turned on him. Basically.
Yeah, and then Shredder got the Green Ranger coin and teamed up with her. Like, it did so much more hurt than help than like, I'm going to try to do what I can without joining. And like, if you're a lost cause, I'm sorry, but like, there's only so much I can do.
It also seemed like a thing where he kept it secret from the other Rangers, and he didn't need to.
Yeah,
it could have been like, I'm going to go undercover to try to save my friend. If you don't hear from me, that's where it would happen.
Yeah, and it wasn't a thing too where like Kim in their first fight with the Turtles is like, I don't know what you're doing, but like figure it out, and like lets him go.
Yeah, she's like, they don't know what's happening. She's kind of mad because he kind of just disappeared. Like he's like, I'm gonna go do a thing, and then went off the grid, and like it's
pun intended.
Not, but I'm just a genius.
No, I know. But yeah, like that one again. When I saw that, I'm like, okay, now I really don't like what Tommy's doing.
Yeah.
But I like how outside of the first fight, I mean, it was cool to see it, but it was completely unnecessary in my opinion. And then once they actually team up is when I really got invested in the story.
I agree. They have to have the first fight.
No, I know that. But like, again, the crux for the first fight, I don't think was a good way of doing that meet cute.
No, it wasn't. And going back to what I was saying, I feel like it wasn't even executed visually as much as I'd like.
Yeah, like I'm coming from the story side, you're coming from the art side, but it's like, hey, why are you guys fighting? Derp or derp. And it's like, I feel like there could have been a more legitimate reason they fought and still ended up with, we're both the good guys. And not like, Tommy's here and you could easily explain away Tommy. And like, you have Donatello and Billy who are just like, I'm not listening to reason right now. Like that was the other part. I'm like, I get the suspending the disbelief on it. But again, like, I don't know. That part I didn't love. But as the story progresses, I became more of a fan. I liked the Shredder. I forget what he does, but he does something where the main Rangers can't morph.
He scrambles like their DNA signature or something. Yeah.
Oh, I think he makes it where only people with like mutagen can morph.
Does he say that?
I don't know.
No, because he doesn't have mutagen at that point. No, I think he scrambled their DNA. So
I don't know. I don't totally remember.
April was able to do it too.
So that's true.
Mutagen had nothing to do with it.
Never mind. I'm remembering
because April took over Pink because
it was some MacGuffin so that we got the Rangers and really cool ninja stuff.
Yes,
and then the Turtles get to morph.
Yes, the Rangers and really cool ninja stuff is like that was definitely like I'm just gonna allow for this because like those suits were just in the Ninja Turtle base. Some of it was like perfectly suited to the Rangers.
Yeah,
like,
that one I just was like
whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, I actually had when I saw the pictures, I thought they were like Ninjetti or something. Like when I saw covers, not really paying attention. But I I think the humor on both sides was done really well.
Yes.
There was a lot of fun little in jokes and little snap, but like not one joke was like that's dumb. Like it was all good. There's a fun little visual in joke. I will give credit to the art here. In the sewer lair, when Donnie and Billy are talking about something, there is a background thing, and they make jokes about like the plunger cannon on the whatever. But there is literally a thing. I don't remember it ever being in the show. I don't remember being in the show, but it was definitely a toy in like the first wave or two. And I forget what I want to say it was called the plunger cannon. And it's not the one that they were talking about shooting outside of the van. It was literally like it looked like a twin gun from like World War II.
Oh,
but it had two plungers, and they have it in the background of one of these panels.
Don't worry, we're just gonna flip through the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm gonna be able to find it. Whatever. But anyway, it's that toy just drawn in the background of full size, which I thought was a good gag. And they don't draw any attention to it. It's just like that's just one of the things we have. And they talk about the turtle blimp, but they don't show the turtle blimp. And then
so two things, obviously, major points in the comic. You get Green Ranger Shredder.
Yes.
Thoughts?
It was cool. Not as cool as you seem to think it was.
I
also
enjoyed it.
We were talking about the toys. You know, when you find out who that is, you definitely don't want it. I'm like, it's Shredder. It's Green Ranger Shredder.
No,
and that's what I thought. And then it was, and I was like, what?
No, not that. That's not what I said. And you kind of attested this off camera. Mm-hmm. I said if there was ever a figure that you're gonna get, it's Shredder when you see it.
And I did see your figure, and that was
because you're like maybe it'll be rat. I'm like no, and that's what I was alluding to. Is and you agreed. It did everything that would draw Gaz to a figure.
It is a great figure. I don't know that I want just one of the set, because that brings us to our next point. I don't love the Morph Ninja Turtle suits.
I mostly love them, but I understand why you don't.
Well, I don't love them, and this is going to come back to bashing the interior artist again, which I don't want to do, but I just got to be honest. The way Dan Mora draws them, I like them. Mm-hmm. The way they're drawn inside, I like them less. And there's a weird inconsistency with the eyes again, where sometimes they have eyes, sometimes they're red, sometimes they're white.
This is the Ninja Rangers, I guess.
Yeah,
Rangers as ninjas, for lack of a better term. Yeah. And here we go. This is what I was looking for.
The Morphin sequence.
Yeah, there we go.
And April is just pink. There's like no difference there.
Yeah, no skirt.
Oh, no skirt. Interesting.
Yeah, because the figure's different too, which I kind of like.
Oh, that is cool. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess this is what I think about the designs, and I could be wrong about this. Aquaman.
Okay.
I've never been a fan of Aquaman or his original orange suit.
Okay.
I like him more now than I ever did. I read some comics of him later on. I'm forgetting the name of the artist now. He was doing them, like 10 years ago, 5-10 years ago. And all he did was raise the collar a little bit and make it, instead of orange, like golden.
Oh, like Ivan Rice? Is that the artist? REIS?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. But
during Jeff Johns' run.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the same suit, but it's just like, okay, this is, in my mind, this is a bad design that's been around forever. And a million artists have done it. It's just a bad design. But he was able to take that bad design and make it look good.
Yeah.
And I've seen other artists do this. And when I was a kid, I didn't notice the difference. And I'd see some awesome drawing and be like, I'm going to draw that. And I'd be like, that looks dumb because I didn't have the skills to make that suit look good.
Yeah.
And I don't think these suits are as bad as like the original Aquaman suit, but I think they're very meh. I don't think they're great. And I think when the interior artist does them, they're like, okay. And then I think on the covers, he tightens it up and just makes it look a little, I'm trying to find it.
It might be in the very back, maybe, in like the cover gallery.
It's sharper. The lines are,
there's more like
shiny.
Sheen on the chest,
and the whole thing just pulls together better, where it's like, I don't know if I like that design or if it's just that the art makes it look better. But inside, I was not a huge fan of it. And going back to the figures, you said we were going to do a figure video too. I don't think we're going to do that.
Because I don't have them next to me. That's the only reason.
Yes. Shredder is the best one. I think,
yes.
I think Tommy as the Foot Soldier is pretty good too. The Ninja Turtles, I don't like. The weapons are all rubbery and weird and stuff. And that's the thing. I don't like which turtles became which Rangers and their weapons. I know they did it red for red and things like that. I think Leo should have been red because he's the leader and he would have had a sword.
And Raph should have been blue.
Yeah, it would have been. And here's the thing. There's a precedent set for that in Power Rangers and in like Voltron and things like that. Like it's not like this, both of their genres make sense where you could cross that. They could even make a joke about it, whatever. That would have been a better choice in my mind. But also, where was I going? But the figures, all that aside, even if they had the colors I liked and the weapons weren't so rubbery and whatever, they're clearly based on the interior art and not the cover art. And so they're a little bit softer. They're a little bit cartoonier, for lack of a better term. And so it's like, oh, these need to be tightened up. And I'm like, and I was thinking like, why did they make the figures look? And I'm like, oh, they look like the interior art. That's why. And so I'm out.
Yeah, pretty much what I'm getting from you is Dan Mora shouldn't have been involved in this iteration of it.
Yep.
And you would have enjoyed it more because you had nothing to compare it to.
I would have enjoyed it more for sure.
Yeah.
I still would have had the complaints about the mouth. And again,
but it wouldn't have been as glaring because you didn't have like a side by side. You're like, this is just kind of how they're doing it. It's not my choice, but whatever. And now you're like, Dan Mora perfected it, and you did okay.
Yeah, but specifically except with the turtles, because I do prefer Dan Mora's Rangers as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the Rangers, by and large, didn't bother me as much.
Same.
The turtles were like, I don't know. And maybe turtles are harder to do. Maybe it's like, if you get the Rangers 50% correct, they look correct, whereas the turtles are, I don't know. And which is funny because I've drawn both imperfectly. People could rip apart my artwork just as easily. But I feel like I find it easier to draw the turtles than the Power Rangers.
Yeah.
But maybe it's the opposite for some artists.
Maybe. I mean, again, it goes with the style, there's so many different versions of the turtles that it's hard to kind of find the right lane for you as an artist. Not you, but like, you know what I mean?
Artist, yeah.
And with the Rangers, it's like, here it is.
Yeah, copy the blueprints of the helmet. And
But, what I was going to say is in regards to the story, not everything I'm going to say like, oh, I predicted this. The one thing I didn't predict that I was happily surprised by is at the end, they have a Megazord fight and the turtles are piloting the Megazord and the Megazord is like kind of getting beat up a little bit. And then they're like, you know what we should do? Should merge this with Metalhead thing.
Yeah,
I almost said Chrome Dome just because I was looking at it.
No, I like that too. And at first I didn't because they got their suits and they were tailored to their turtle specific things. And we've seen it before when Shredder was tailored to him. And so I'm like, why didn't the Megazord have some turtleification? And so I was kind of bummed about that. But then they brought Metalhead in, and then it looked like that's another thing where like the cover that Dan Mora did looked like a much better Megazord than the one inside. Whatever. But also I also like how they got there, where the Rangers, Billy's like, oh, you had the shrink ray, and they do just like a throwaway line. Well, you had the shrink ray in this robot, so I made it happen. And it's like, oh, so we reversed it, and also that fits with the crazy way Billy would do things, where they kind of like have one piece of logic and then 15 steps you don't see, and then here we are.
Well, also because this is the first time we've seen Billy and Donnie together. Yeah, they both are so smart in their respective lanes, and it's very easy to see like, hey, did you think of this? I didn't, but I'm smart enough to understand how you got there. Yes. And then they just go, and then like crazy cool thing happens.
And then Zordon's like, the Megazord is made to be adaptive, and they fine.
There's a simple explanation for that.
My only complaint about that whole scene, and I liked it, is kind of going back to what I was saying before about savoring the moment of like these historic events. Shredder is using the Dragon Zord against the Megazord, and like that fight ends really quick. He's like, I'm going to use the electricity, and the art. Actually, I'll say the art with the electricity looked really cool. Yeah, but it was like, oh, that's the end. No, and I guess my guess is they couldn't use the sword or anything that would destroy the Dragon Zord. I guess, but I wanted to see the Dragon Zord and the Megazord like really go at it, and they didn't really go at it that much, and so I was like, oh, okay, that's
it's always hard when you're using the hero stuff, and you're like, we still need it, so like, you can't just like blow it up because we're on episode 10 and there's 50. So that kind of thing. But the Technodrome Dome I thought was cool involvement as well.
I hated that.
Really?
I like that the Technodrome was being used as a weapon for once.
Yes.
Here's the two reasons I hated it though. One was going back to the art when it was weird and unclear. Like they kind of, I guess it was supposed to be one of the things where they're like slash, and then it like exploded into 4 pieces 2 seconds later. Yeah. I get what they're going for, like for the anime kind of thing. But that's a terrible page.
Here is the interior of the Megazord, by the way. There you go. You have a much better idea than I do.
This is the page, actually. This is the Technodrome. So you see right here is the Megazord with Chrome Dome. Then there's this page of he jumps up, the Megazord jumps up, and the Technodrome's like, pew, pew, and I guess it's shooting at them. Then there's this, which is supposed to represent 1,000,000 slashes. And then this weird aerial view where, like, I guess that's the Technodrome exploding, but that's not the Technodrome, we're really, really far away. Yeah. So the Technodrome and the Megazord are both in this picture. And then, what's the last one? I don't even know. Oh, it's just the Megazord. Like, we did it. But, like, it's just, I could figure it out, but it's not super clear. And for such a big moment, I feel like it should have been a page of like the Death Star exploding.
Yeah.
But that's a visual problem I have. Here's a storytelling problem.
Okay.
The Rangers,
By the way, here's what he was talking about. Where he's like, I love this. Everything else is garbage.
so much better. I mean, and I feel bad saying it, but it's, you know, I didn't say it's garbage. That was your word.
It's definitely you.
But the other problem I had with the scene we were talking about the Technodrome is it's established that Shredder, Krang, other people are in there. Foot soldiers are in there. Now, yeah, Tommy's friend got his elite squad out of there, but there's some non-zero percentage of living beings in there. The Rangers don't kill. The Turtles usually don't kill. I mean, they're a little bit.
They're not against it.
Yeah, but
they'd prefer not to.
But there may be innocent people in there, or like maybe not completely evil people. The Rangers don't kill even evil people, but they're like, all right, chop, 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 boom. Everybody in there should be dead. I mean,
maybe.
Like, so it was just sort of glossed over, like, oh, we got the Technodrome. Like, who was in there?
Did we though? Yeah,
yeah. So
At
that
what
was a little.
cost?
Yeah, that was a little. So that's why I said somewhere in between. I enjoyed reading this. It was a fun read. I'm glad it exists. I'm glad everybody else got to read it who maybe enjoyed it more than me. I'm very excited for part 2.
Yes,
but that's I give this like a C.
Okay. I would give this a B+.
Mm-hmm.
When I read it, I had a very different kind of like view and standard, I think, than you did.
Mm-hmm.
You knew about the toys, you knew about most of the spoilers, you knew there was a sequel.
Yes.
For me, I knew about Shredder.
Right.
I think I knew about the Turtles turning into Rangers, but I'm not sure.
Oh, I thought that was like I guess.
Well, because I picked up the singles of this and then I caught up. But like I think I read it. I started reading it before it was over.
Sorry, I wasn't looking at you. The front of my computer.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So not everything was spoiled for me.
Yes.
And I thought it was a one and done.
Well, and I could see how having those moments would be more exciting.
Yes.
I will say this: knowing there's a sequel had no bearing on how much I enjoyed it. That gave me the incentive to hurry up and read this. But in terms of like, oh, I like this more or less, sort of because of sequel, that had no real effect. The spoiled things of the Rangers and Cruiser, that maybe did a little bit, to be fair. Yeah.
Yes. The other thing I was going to say, speaking of Rangers, is the 2017 movie.
Mm-hmm.
I like it now, but at the time I was like, I will like this more if there's a sequel. Because there's not a sequel, it's not great as a standalone movie because it just leaves a bunch of plot holes and plot threads
it's a lot of setup to
not have it. Yeah. So that was my example. My other question, because I don't know how many of these you've read, in terms of comic crossovers of different companies or different teams that have nothing to do with each other.
I'm generally a fan of it.
Same. Yeah. So how would you rank this kind of in that tier? Like not, middle,
like C, maybe C+, maybe C+.
Okay.
It's tough because I go so hard on the art and like it, and you're right because it is the turtle stuff. Like as a Power Rangers story and Power Rangers art, I might give it like a B or a B+.
Yeah.
I dislike the turtle art so much. It brings it down so much.
And that's fair. Like for me, I like Turtles.
Yeah.
And I've only read so much Turtles right now.
Right.
So I'm not holding it against other stuff.
And like, I really hope I don't meet these people or they see this. I'm not trying to hurt people's feelings.
Yes.
And this is why I don't like to review like independent comics. So I'm like, well, at least look, if I had my art in a Ninja Turtle book officially and people are like, we don't like it, I'd be like, well, that sucks. But hey, I got to be in a Ninja Turtle
did it.
book.
Yeah.
So like, I'm like, whatever I'm throwing at you, you did it. Okay.
Yeah.
So what do I know? But that being said, I think Ryan Parrott's writing, he wrote the Turtles 100% correct.
Yes.
The art didn't. And so that also made it even weirder that like, I don't know. I kind of lost my train of thought there. But if I think of this as just a crossover and I think of it more of Power Rangers, don't worry about it, then yes, it gets higher. So maybe I'll give it like a C+ in terms of overall crossovers and stuff. But it's just, it's tough with the
I would put it in the top half of crossovers I've read. And I don't know how many I've read, so I can't be like, it's in the top 10, because maybe I've read 11. I don't know.
I don't know how many I've read.
But for me, I would put it in probably the top 25%, because it's not the greatest thing I've ever read in terms of a crossover, but it's definitely one I enjoyed, one I would recommend, one I could see going back to again outside of this. And to me, like, that says a lot. And also,
I would agree with all that. I would enjoy it. I would recommend it. I do recommend it. It's a fun read. You might like the toys better than the Shredder figure is excellent.
Yes.
But I might preface it. This is kind of like when the new Star Trek Discovery came out. People would ask me, I'm a big Star Trek fan too. And I've seen every version of Star Trek there is, all the episodes, all the movies. I think the only thing I haven't seen all of is the animated series. And people would say to me, like, well, is it good? And I would say, are you a Star Trek fan? And if they said yes, I'm like, well, you'll like it. But, if they're like, I never really watched Star Trek, I'll be like, you'll love it. because it's
you don't
great.
have baggage.
Yeah, it's a good show. It's well made. The acting's good. It's just a really, really good show, but it doesn't feel like all the other Star Trek.
Yeah.
That's how I feel with this. If somebody isn't like a mild Turtle fan or doesn't care about Turtles, I'm like, you'll love it. If, however, you're a Turtle fan, I think you need to know they're going to look weird and kind of,
Yeah, and that is, going back to the positive, a testament to Ryan Parrott, where he's written so much Ranger stuff now that he gets it. Like, the Ranger stuff is good. He gets Rangers.
Yes.
I haven't read anything that I think is bad from him. You could argue, I think it's where you're at, where some of the Necessary Evil stuff is fine.
Yes.
But then a lot of the stuff he's written is great. And this is really good. And I think this is, another testament. He's done a great job. I know his run is coming to an end with Rangers and then he's passing the torch. But I think this is definitely one of those, when you look back at what he's written Ranger wise, it's going to be a highlight for sure.
Yeah. So despite my saying I'm kind of in between, I do recommend it.
Yes, I recommend it as well. If there's any other Ranger comics you want us to talk about, we're not committing to it, but let us know.
Historically, people don't care when we talk about comics or when he talks about comics. Maybe the fact that we're doing it together, whatever. We'll probably do the part 2 just as we did this one.
Yes.
But other than that, let us know,
Well, and this is something easy to commit to. We're both going to read it.
Yeah.
And we're both going to talk to each other about it.
It's more
it's
like,
much easier.
It's more like, should we read it as quick as we can and then review it in front of you? Or, would we do it issue by issue?
We could. I mean, you have a comic book store nearby that you could get an issue from.
I do. Let me know. Let us know.
It doesn't come out, I think, till December.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But until then,
I am still the big bot Gazbot.
Yeah, big bot Gazbot.
To the power.
Operation Overdrive is my favorite season.
It's not.
Look, you're even in front of
Operation Overdrive is my favorite season.
Look at this. I'm either the evil version or he's the evil version.
Well,
I don't know which one of us is though.
I mean, I did not see that coming. End credits. I meant to say to the power. To the power.
Oh yeah, we did. I forgot. I'm not used to unmuting. To the power as well. I did it early.
Yeah.
How funny would it be if after this you just back up there,
Dead.
taking a nap, quote unquote.
My eyes are open. He's silly that way.
I have seen videos of people where they're like, so-and-so one related to her, my partner, takes naps with their eyes open, and you look and it's the creepiest thing I've ever seen.
I've heard of that too, yeah. In this broadcast?
Not yet.
Not
there,
yet.
now you can.